On the news tonight, President Bola Tinubu appoints governing councils for 9 federal tertiary institutions and polytechnics. Chief of Naval Staff addresses security threats in the Niger Delta region. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu reiterates commitments to wealth creation and sustainability for marginalized communities in Lagos State. 84-year-old Muhammad Yunus sworn in as interim leader of Bangladesh. Join us for details in a moment. Good evening. Welcome to the news at 8 on Lagos Television. I am Yetunde Oladoton Amao. President Bola Tinubu has reassured that his administration would ensure that companies engaged in mineral exploration prioritize the health and safety of Nigerians and host communities. The president stated this while receiving a book titled Harnessing the Mining Industry for Enhanced National Security and Development, Strategic Options for Nigeria by 2035, presented to him by the course 32 participants of the National Defense College. The president also directed security agencies to intensify efforts to crack down on illegal miners across the country.
Rely on any mistake of exclusivity in the area of mining. We should understand that people live with the environment, and that environment is important to those who are in the area.
A bit of research, and they have recommended measures to take to improve our solid mineral sector, and that is apt looking at the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu renewed hope agenda on the expansion of the economy and other source of income for the country.
Commandant National Defense College, Rear Admiral Olumuyiwa Olotu, says the institution established in 1992 as the National War College has graduated 2,871 participants since inception.
Conduct on-the-ground research into these sectors, so we're not just relying on secondary sources to write this paper, but also interviewing people on the ground in these countries where tremendous successes have been achieved. And that's actually, added to, the beauty that the paper itself was able to achieve.
The course 32 participants were advised to research topical national issues and document their findings during their 11-month study. President Tinubu has appointed chairmen and members of the governing councils of some federal universities and tertiary institutions across the country. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, says the president expects that the new members of the governing boards of these institutions will perform their functions effectively and creditably and within the ambits of their statutory responsibilities. President Bola Tinubu also approved the appointment of 9 persons to the governing councils of the Maritime Academy of Nigeria, Oron, in Akwa Ibom State, and the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, Zaria, Kaduna State. The federal government has announced plans to review the merger of federal technical colleges and science schools in the country to unbundle them. Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, disclosed this at a stakeholders meeting on the challenges and issues affecting technical colleges in Nigeria. He expressed displeasure over the merger of technical colleges with colleges of science, noting that it eroded the gains of establishing technical colleges in the country. He explained that technical colleges ought to be strictly for students with interest in technical education, while those who have interest in science programs should go to regular colleges and continue their programs there. Stakeholders in the nation's education sector have urged state governments to establish vocational skills training institutions in their state to help address youth restiveness. This was re-emphasized when heads of institutions appeared before the Committee on Federal Polytechnics and Higher Technical Education to make input on a proposal of 3 bills to establish vocational training centers in Kano and a National Commission for Polytechnics. The 3 bills seeking stakeholders' input include a proposal to establish vocational and entrepreneurship institutes in Okota, Oshodi, Lagos State, a federal vocational and skills acquisition college, Yankaba in Kano State, and the creation of the National Polytechnics Commission.
Offer to you what the minister has asked me to convey, that the ministry is available if there are some minor tweaks, minor fine-tunings to be done on the 3 bills. The ministry is ready to provide the technical support to fine-tune and conclude the bills anytime you are ready.
We have the polytechnics, we have the monotechnics, and we can also have the VTIs, so that they will concentrate not in doing diploma programs, but on vocational skills. There are areas that, somebody mentioned it, if you have a certification in welding, the kind of money you earn today, even the PhD holder doesn't earn that one.
This Polytechnic Commission is established, if established, will address the issues of dichotomy and the stigma attached to the polytechnic education. In fact, anytime we mention this, mostly people's mind will even go to all the students that graduates of polytechnic, they are being discriminated against. But I want to tell this honorable house that even we, their lecturers, we are not safe from that discrimination.
The lawmakers had emphasized the need for the public hearing, which they believe will facilitate the process of enacting legislations that brings about much needed improvement in the socio-economic landscape of the country.
Recognize that in the increasing competitive global environment, it is imperative that we equip our youth with relevant skill and knowledge. The proposed agency and institution will serve as a beacon of excellence, providing qualitative education that meet international standards while also tailoring to meet our local needs.
As you may be aware, the objectives of this establishing vocational entrepreneurship and skill acquisition institution in Nigeria is to train technicians and middle-level personnel that would serve as catalysts for a rapid industrialization and development of the real sector of the economy. Therefore, the need for all stakeholders here present to be dedicated and committed in the efforts of improving and developing our educational sector by being objective, constructive in our inputs and opinions on all contending issues on the bills.
The National Polytechnic Commission is expected to serve as a regulatory body that would ensure standards across polytechnics in the country. The stakeholders also believe that the establishment of the proposed centers will equip the youth with practical skills to enable them to thrive in the evolving job markets. Here in Lagos, the state government is championing a new frontier in basic education on zero tolerance for out-of-school children through its sensitization campaign held in Koshofe area of the state. Correspondent Adeshego Igop tells us more.
According to the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, 1 in 3 children in Nigeria is out of school at the primary level. However, with the present state of the statistics, the Lagos State's Universal Basic Education Board, LASUBEB's Zero project, is providing the right to free and compulsory primary education in the state.
An initiative that was brought about by the State Universal Basic Education Board, the Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board, for us to be able to mobilize all out-of-school children back to our schools. We have fantastic infrastructures, fantastic teachers, well-trained teachers. Okay, that's one reason why we are doing this mobilization.
We don't want to see our children outside. And when you look at Kosofe, Kosofe is the border boundary of Lagos State to other states. And that is why we at Kosofe are rising up. It is easier and possible for someone to bring the child from outside the state and drop that child in Kara. That child will find his way into my 12. They won't send them to school. That is why we from Kosofe, we insist that all children of school age must be in school.
From Ketu, Alakbere, Demuri, Mile 12, and Agboyi in Kosofe local government area, officials of Kosofe Education Authority in this campaign maintain that collaborative efforts will help in tackling the menace of out-of-school children.
For everyone to bring their children back to school, bring them to Lagos State Public School, come and see our infrastructure, what the governor has done in terms of infrastructure improvement, the training of teachers, employment of professional teachers into our school.
This phase 4 is to go all out and support the Lagos State government. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, he has been there for us. He has been doing everything possible, particularly on the area of infrastructure and the area of human resources. And let us look properly at our children. Government is doing their own. Let we as parents do our own part.
They had that Project Zero ensure inclusive and equitable quality education that promotes lifelong learning opportunities for all.
Lagos State is not taking it lightly with any pupils or any parent that are not sending their children to the school. And this is not just the parent. This is a community, collective effort. Help the government, government will help you.
Adeshegun Igor, LTV News.
14-year-old Anyofeoluwa Otelaja of the CMS Grammar School, Bariga, has emerged a winner of the Ethical Living Project Essay Writing Competition of the Africa Capital Alliance Foundation. The project, which is a partnership with the Enactus Nigeria, aims to inculcate the value of ethical decision-making in youth. Correspondent Omomi Okewo reports.
Weeks. Facilitators from African Capital Alliance Foundation and Enactus Nigeria were on ground in 10 schools in 3 education districts of Lagos to train students on the importance of ethics in their day-to-day living.
So the essay
in its pilot phase under the Ethics Living Project, the program aims to catch these young ones early so as to gradually rid Nigeria of the moral decadence she currently faces.
It's one thing to say you are sponsoring something. It's another thing when your people are passionate about it and therefore giving. You know, because I think the giving of the people. And
when you are born in here and you're in a society where things are done in a certain kind of way, there's a tendency to just follow what has been done without even questioning it. And so we decided to, deliver this intervention to interrogate the behaviors of people and to get our youth to begin to understand and embrace the underlying concepts of ethics.
We had to create a 6-week training curriculum that focused on ethics, from the introduction to ethics, and that was necessary. That was the first module. That was necessary because we realized that quite a number of them may not understand the concept, purpose, and benefits of being someone with high ethical values.
To ensure that these students were well trained, there was an essay writing competition where 3 best essay writers from each school were honored.
Curiosity!
And then the overall winner, 14-year-old Anyofeoluwa Otelaja from CMS Grammar School, Bariga.
It has really made me more confident and more bold in public speaking. Normally, as I get up to stage, I just start shaking, but thanks to this program, I've really been inspired and motivated to continue living ethically and helping to motivate others.
People in my society, whatever you do, that's your business. But Ethical Living Project, they taught us that what they do is your business because it's going to affect you later on in this life.
I was once a gambler. So when we went to this ethical living, everything changed for me.
not just your relationships.
ACA Foundation
with
and
the
Nexus
people in
Nigeria say
authority.
it hopes to take the Ethnic Living Project to every school and region in Nigeria.
You know, you had the facilitators, you had the facilitators materials, you had to teach the students and so on. So we had to do a lot of training in-house as well. So we do need support, and we know that from this pilot, this has been very successful. We know it can grow bigger and bigger.
The overall goal really is to take this all the way across the country, to every state in Nigeria, and as much as possible to every secondary school, whether government-owned or private-owned secondary school.
The major goal for organizers of this project is to ensure that every Nigerian is ethical, honest, and full of integrity, thereby having a Nigeria that works for all. Omoumi Okewo, LTV News.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says his administration is committed to the vision to ensure inclusivity, wealth creation, enhanced living standard and sustainability for marginalized communities. The governor, who was represented by Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Okpe George, stated this at the close of the Leave No One Behind program in Lagos. Joshua Morakinyo reports.
The Glance is just another event. In fact, it is the closeout event of the Leave No One Behind initiative. But there is more to this gathering. It focuses on wealth creation, promoting sustainability for marginalized communities in Lagos. So far, 20,000 girls and women have been impacted with essential circular economy skills, supporting 1,000 individuals, creating 50 employment opportunities.
Today, we celebrate the realization of the vision that consolidates our promise to intensify focus on vulnerable groups in our state, ensuring that every individual, irrespective of their background, gender, circumstances, or social status, gets access to opportunity, support, and enjoys the benefits of good governance.
By fostering innovation and entrepreneurship, the circular economy provides opportunities for young people, our young people, to continue to engage in meaningful work. The skills acquired through this initiative will enable them to create and manage sustainable businesses, thus driving economic growth in Lagos State.
This operation not only supports community welfare, but also aims to generate substantial revenue by converting waste into valuable resources. The emerging revenue stream will support Lagos State's economic growth by promoting sustainable waste management practices and creating financial incentives for local communities.
Collecting 200 kg of recyclable waste daily from Idiaraba and Mushin area of Lagos is a testament to addressing climate change, driving self-worth and social inclusion.
Young children between the ages of 13 and 18 who need grooming, who need mentoring, who need to have a sense of worth. They need to be able to know that they can produce something by themselves. When you produce something by yourself, you feel comfortable, you feel confident, you know that you can do more. So that's why we thought that the Correctional Facility Center, the Girls Correctional Facility Center, will be our first take.
Effort in leaving no one behind is starting from home, right? We're giving them an opportunity to be part of the normal society, and this initiative has given them, it will give them a platform to so many opportunities, wealth creation, cleaning the environment, and a lot of sustainable development initiatives. As we have seen over the last couple of days, the girls here have been trained, they've been given so many skill sets, which would be to their own benefits and ultimately to the economy at large.
The impact on the girls are evident. They've been able to produce biodigestibles, automations, and more. The value addition on their lives are life-changing.
The more streams of income, the more streams you have to grow your economy, the better for us. So we've talked a lot about diversification of our economy, from being an oil-dependent economy to being an economy that is driven by agriculture, manufacturing, to name a few. So circular economy is a sector that the whole world is beginning to embrace, and it's a good thing that at its infant stage, so to speak, Nigeria is gradually embracing it. And in Nigeria, leading the pack is the Center for Excellence Lagos State.
The whole concept of circular economy is predicated on reuse and regeneration. This initiative explores future possibilities for broader implementation. But most importantly, it's about leaving no one behind, recycling lives, engendering worth. From Correctional Center for Girls here in Idiaraba, I am Joshua Murakio, reporting for Lagos Television.
Still ahead. Nigeria commemorates International Day of World Indigenous People. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.
Do you know that as a viewer, you have the right to complain about any broadcast content or conduct of Lagos Television you are not pleased about? For any of such complaints, call or SMS Director Programs on 00333 Director News 003-696-2772 or Head Marketing 08022829898 or any of our social media handles. Lagos Television, the voice of Lagos.
Thanks for staying with us. About 8 vehicles and other property were gutted by fire at the mobile filling station, Airport Hotel Obafemi Awolowo Way in Ikeja. The Director, Operations and Maintenance, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Olatunde Akinsoya, says this while giving preliminary report on the fire outbreak.
We discovered that it was a multiple gas explosion because it cuts across all of the vehicles that were around in the premises. It was at the time that they were, selling and dispensing fuel, and at the same time they were dispensing this cooking gas that exploded. So, and critically, they engaged the fire in an aggressive combat and were able to subdue the fire. We have about 8 vehicles that were in the premises and one few outside on the road that was caught by this fire. And of course, we have about 7 of the victims that was affected. One of them suffered 70% degree of burnt and is been taken to the Lasut. Probably from there, it will be taken to Bagada Burns Unit.
We will commence the investigation to actually know what led to the fire. The primary thing is actually to extinguish the fire, which we have done, and then after that, we'll inform the regulatory authorities, on the incident, which we have also done, and we expect them to visit the sites, and then, we take it off from there.
Correspondent also spoke with some residents who witnessed the fire incident.
They has already put their nozzle inside the car. They were selling fuel. They were already selling fuel for me. All I just saw was that I was just like looking at something on the sky, moving like whiteys, and it was I just hear bam. I was like, let me just quickly move out my car. They said I should not kick the vehicle, that I should leave it there. The next thing I saw was that the person that was even selling the fuel for me has disappeared.
When the smoke started, all of us were struggling to run out. All of a sudden, the thing just explodes. Then fire now start. The fire now just start pursuing everybody. So when I revised to come out, this pillar now blocked me. Before I should confront and run for my dear life, the fire now enter my motor. Then I now jump and fly out of the vehicle.
One man now shouted that they should not start any vehicle so that the thing will not cause fire, explosion of fire. Before the man said that, after he said that, what we noticed was fire that just blew. Boom! The thing now started burning everywhere.
Meanwhile, the management of Mobile Filling Station Ikeja commended the Lagos State Emergency Responders for their quick intervention. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited also clarified issues surrounding the reported fire at the Mobile Filling Station. Chief Corporate Communications Officer Olufemi Shoneye said the explosion has nothing to do with the recently commissioned NNPC Gas Marketing Limited compressed national gas stations, which are currently functioning and running safely. He asked that all NGML facilities in Lagos, including pipelines, metering stations, above-ground installation, and CNG facilities, are in safe operating conditions. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, has charged officers and personnel of the Nigerian Navy to redouble their efforts in tackling security threats in the Niger Delta region. He gave the charge while addressing the newly decorated naval warrant officers at the naval headquarters in Abuja, noting that the South-South region is the mainstay of crude oil production in the country. Represented by the Chief of Policy and Plans, Rear Admiral Joseph Akpan, the naval boss said the nation's threshold in economic development rely majorly on crude oil, adding that all efforts must be channeled to address crude oil thefts in the country.
This elevation, don't allow it to, if I may say, don't put it, or the confidence that I've been giving to you, don't put it to shame, don't rubbish it by going to do what you have not been doing before. Because if you are in discipline, you will not get here. So now that you are here, it's better you finish up your service by doing the proper thing. So you will not be tired of tasking you, and I'm also imploring you not to be tired, because more, to whom more is given, more also will be required. So it's not a time for you to rest on your ass or go to sleep.
19 naval personnel were elevated to the rank of Navy Warrant Officers, which is the highest rank in the Nigerian Navy rating cadre. Medical experts have called for support for lactating mothers to encourage them adequately breastfeed their babies, highlighting various benefits of breastfeeding. The experts say it is of great benefit to the mother, the baby, and the society.
All our community members, and particularly our husbands as well, so that we're also educating our women on proper breastfeeding measures, how to ensure that the baby is properly latched onto the nipple so that the baby does not feel uncomfortable, the mother does not become uncomfortable or end up with cracked nipples.
If the mother breastfeeds, the child is very, very healthy, and breast milk is very, very easy to see, very cheap and readily available, unlike other foods that are expensive. And then to the health of the mother too, because the mother does not breastfeed, there could be some illness that can arise from not breastfeeding the child.
Mothers were also sensitized on proper ways of breastfeeding.
Importance, which helps to protect the child from different diseases and illnesses. Then the growth importance, which aids in the normal growth of a child. Then the IQ part, it promotes the brain power and so on.
But the new thing I learned today is about breastfeeding. Usually, I used to use the scissor style, which I was told today that it stopped the breast milk from flowing to the baby's mouth. That instead, we should place 4 ends under the breast and the thumb at the top to help the baby to express the milk directly to the mouth.
Breastfeeding is a natural way of providing the ideal and complete food for infants to ensure optimal growth and development. 5 illegal migrants, including a woman with a 6-month-old baby, have been arrested by the Nigerian Immigration Service Lagos Border Command. They have been handed over to relevant government agency for further action. Badagry Bureau Chief Samuel Dada tells us more.
Ologie, she met me herself that she want to follow me. I will transport her. When she will get there, she will replace my transport.
These 5 Nigerians were on their way to Burkina Faso, a West African country, en route Owodiapa in the Badagry West Local Council Development area of the state. One of them is this woman with a 6-month-old baby.
Chinye Okafor and her little 6-month-old baby were traveling to Burkina Faso at the instance of Miss Queen Abdul Karim and Jumo Hokonke. Although Miss Queen Abdul Karim said 6-month-old Chinedu Okafor was given birth to in Burkina Faso, Mrs. Okafor, the mother of Chinedu, said her son was delivered in Nigeria and that the father of her son is Mr. Ogadima Benjamin from Umunede in Delta State, who had abandoned her and the child. It is very unfortunate that at this period in time in the 21st century, smugglers will not be mindful of what they do. 6-month child is being trafficked out of Nigeria to Cote d'Ivoire, and that may even go beyond Cote d'Ivoire.
According to the controller, Nigeria Immigration Service, Lagos State Border Patrol Command, Peter Adache, the illegal immigrants were without relevant legal travel documents. As such, they were intercepted and consequently arrested.
None of the above were in possession of any travel document. Mr. Hekon is a Beninois, herbalist resident in Oka, and claims to have 2 children with Abdul Karim Queen.
After diligent interrogation by immigration officials, their claim of embarking on a legitimate business trip became questionable.
We are going to Burkina. We want to go and do business. There is no document at all.
So she used to come and meet me, and me too, I used to go that side once in a while. So this time she comes, she's complaining for the road she's using to go. There is disturbance for the road. I say, every time apart for Owode border here, I used to pass. So it is like that. If I'm going, I will take him along that side so that to show him the road. So that anytime you want to pass, you pass for there. That's the reason why I even escort him now to follow that road before they come stop us for the checking point.
The controller urges Nigerians willing to leave the country to obtain relevant legal travel documents, reaffirming the commitment of the Immigration Service to standard international practices.
My message to Nigerians who wants to travel out are: 1, they must make sure they hold their travel documents. If you are traveling to any of the ECOWAS countries, you have the option to have the standard Nigerian passport or ECOWAS travel certificate. And that aside, if you are traveling to any other place, you need to get an entry permit to those countries. That we have said that, and then we have, I think, made that known to a lot of people. And for those who don't know, we keep guiding them.
Meanwhile, the illegal immigrants have been handed over to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person, NAPTIP, a body responsible for combating human trafficking in the country. Samuel Dada, LTV News.
People around the globe observe the Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples to bring awareness to the world on issues concerning them. This special report, compiled by correspondent Adekola Hastrop, examines how this day recognizes the achievements and contributions of indigenous people in Nigeria.
Every year since 1994, the United Nations set aside the day to mark this special day of the world's most endangered species. The day is also observed each year to promote and protect the rights of the world's indigenous population. The event is used to recognize the achievements and contributions that indigenous people make to improve world issues such as environmental protection. Was first pronounced by the General Assembly of the United Nations in December 1994 to be celebrated every year during the first international decade of the world's indigenous people, 1995 to 2004.
To build an equitable and sustainable future that leaves no one behind, we must amplify the voices of indigenous women. Indigenous traditional knowledge can offer solutions to many of our common challenges.
As the world observes the day, conversations are centered on the indigenous peoples of Nigeria as questions about their country's nationhood and the plight of the minority population have dominated national discourses. There is a consensus among Nigerians that indigenous minority populations have not been fairly treated, as questions about equity, justice and fair distribution of resources have been raised. The education sector not only mirrors the historical abuses, discrimination and marginalization suffered by indigenous peoples, but also reflects their continued struggle for equity and respect for their rights as people and as individuals. At the heart of this is the need to guarantee equity and justice for the minorities in the larger Nigerian Federation, as the debate about restructuring the country is also to ensure that the rights of minorities are protected, even as the agitations by the indigenous people of Nigeria have often led to conflicts. Regional leaders have continued to argue that the Nigerian government owes it a duty to guarantee the rights of its minority and indigenous populations by providing them access to their basic rights and, more importantly, the urgency to restructure the country to reflect the aspirations of minority groups to have a say in the way they are governed.
Coming up, Central Bank of Nigeria sells $876.26 million at $1,495 now in retail auction. That's in business news. Join us again.
On Business News tonight, the Central Bank of Nigeria has sold $876.26 million to end users whose bids were submitted by 26 banks. A circular released by the Apex Bank states that the move is to boost the falling naira. This development comes as the naira comes under pressure through seasonal demand from summer, tourism and businesses seeking the greenback to bring in goods to the import-dependent nation. According to the circular, total bids came to $1.18 billion, which was received from 32 authorized dealer banks. Of this, bids valued at $876.26 million from 26 banks qualified, while bids valued at $3.31369 million from 6 banks were disqualified. The CBN approved a cut-off rate of $1,495 to a naira for the retail Dutch auction. The Apex Bank says it will publish on the CBN's website the detailed results and qualified bids to ensure transparency. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, has decried the impact of smuggling on the oil sector. He stated this before a Senator Okoyemi Bamidele-led ad hoc committee on alleged economic sabotage in the petroleum industry. The NNPCL boss also says personnel of the company have nothing to do with the substandard importation of petroleum products into the country.
Lost company for 43 years to a profit-making company today, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this is very clear from everything you have said through this investigative hearing that you can see the majority of the issues you have raised have nothing to do with the NNPC Limited. Yet, everybody believes, by sheer misinformation which my minister has highlighted, that NNPC is responsible for creating any economic sabotage in our country. Chairman, there are rules, there are regulators. We follow the rules. Nobody will bring product into this country that doesn't meet specifications. If it does happen, it's crime. And it couldn't have passed through any regulatory institution. It is impossible.
He asks that the committee session be televised live going forward for all Nigerians to monitor. Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee has proposed the change of name of the Federal Inland Revenue Service to Nigeria Revenue Service. Chairman of the committee, Taiwo Oyedele, who said this during a public consultation workshop for stakeholders in Lagos, says also recommends the harmonization of taxes and levies being collected by the 3 tiers of government into 8 points. The proposed list of harmonized taxes and levies include income tax, property tax, value-added tax, custom duties, excise tax, stamp duties, special and harmonized levies. He said this will help modernize tax administration, ensure processes simple, adaptive and sustainable while allowing the agency do its work efficiently and aid economic growth.
Lots of nuisance taxes that are imposing burden on our people, but still not providing revenue to the government. I don't see why anybody would say no to something like that. So that's the first point. The second point is to find the carrot in it. So this is not just a stick approach. We're saying, their government, local government, state government, government agency, we have an idea of one tax that is easy to collect, not placing burden on the people, that can give you money more than all these other taxes. Don't tax produce, haulage for transporting stuff. Those things are not necessary.
Concerned by the growing impact of the fluctuating exchange rate for calculating import duties at the port, Oyedele says the committee is recommending that the federal government adopts an exchange rate of 800 naira per dollar for customs import duty.
The exemption threshold is that currently we have the law that says if you're under 25 million turnover in a year, you're classified as a small company for tax purposes. We are saying that same small company should not have to worry about withholding tax. Or in parallel, in the laws we've drafted, we are proposing that 25 million be increased to 50 million. So once this withholding tax is gazetted as of today, 25 million will be exempted. Once our laws are enacted, it will become 50 million. Our numbers around 25, 50 million is really based on the current reality of what business can you be doing to have sufficient capacity to hire professionals.
Talking about revamping the economy, transforming the economy, the issue of the tax environment, the issue of the fiscal environment, the issue of the competitiveness environment are very, very critical. And these are the broad issues that is addressing, that the committee is addressing. And one good thing about the committee is that the committee has a very solid backing of the president. So I'm very optimistic that at the end of the day, the outcomes from the work that they are doing will be very, very impactful, will be very, very valuable.
The committee further recommends that any extra revenue incurred by government should be used to pay its ways and means borrowing from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Over 300 girls are expected to participate in the mentorship and training program organized by the Female Football Development Committee of the Lagos State Football Association. The initiative aimed to develop the girl child and expose them to opportunities in football. Will see participants drawn from 5 divisional football associations taking part in the forthcoming event. Speaking at the press conference surrounding the event, Chairperson Lagos State Football Development Committee Ajia Raliat Anako Abdul Salam said participants will be trained on football techniques, officiating, sports medicine, and mentored on other fields. Abdul Salam revealed that members of the Nigeria senior women's team, the Super Falcons, will be on hand to mentor the girls, while female club and academic owners are expected to be part of the one-day program.
We're doing everything we can in a short time to realize this, and I will still appeal. This is the first of its kind in Lagos State, and if I'm not mistaken, this might just be the first of its kind in Nigeria as a whole. I don't think any of the FAs in Nigeria has thought about developing the female child this early or creating an opportunity or a platform for it to work. So we are patting ourselves at the back and hoping that we have a fantastic day on the 10th.
While acknowledging the support of the sponsors who identified with the initiative, the chairperson stated that the committee have partnered with sport and corporate organizations, foundations, and gender-based institutions to make the event a huge success.
This one-day program, just to kickstart the committee was just created in July, and we're already coming up with a program that we hope will be sustainable with our financial partners. And because it's multifaceted, we're even looking at financial literacy from some of our financial sponsors, because we found out that some of these girls from the ghetto, when they get to superstardom, they don't even have the decorum to comport themselves. They are sometimes cheated on their finances too. So we are trying to create a platform for Lagos State, for the female child, to encompass all the areas of sports.
Vice Chairman Lagos State Football Association, Dotun Koka, commended the committee's efforts to impact the girl child, noting that the initiative will enhance female football development and encourage young girls to embrace the beautiful game.
You have key mentors that will give us feedback on how these girls are doing every weekend and be able to say, okay, those that are playing football, we form a league, a small league for them. Those in the sports medicine, we'll see how we can engage them during our football matches under the tutelage of the mentors. Those that are doing refereeing, we put them under the council, different divisions where they are. So there is a roadmap for all of them.
The mentorship and training program for girls will hold on Saturday, August 10 at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Onikon, Lagos Island.
On the foreign scene, Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has been sworn in as Bangladesh's interim leader. The 84-year-old took an oath at the presidential palace in Dhaka, along with more than a dozen members of his new cabinet, promising to perform his duties sincerely and protect the constitution. The decision to name Professor Yunus as a chief advisor of the interim government followed a meeting between President Muhammad Shahabuddin, military leaders and student leaders. The students had been clear they would not accept a military-led government, but wants Yunus to lead. The hope is Professor Yunus, the so-called banker for the poor, will bring democracy back to Bangladesh after years of autocratic rule. Recall that the former leader Sheikh Hasina resigned as prime minister after weeks of student-led protests which left hundreds dead, culminating in calls for her to stand down. And from Qatar also comes a report that the top leaders from the Hamas group have chosen Yahya Sinwar as the new political leader of the group. Delegates troop in from across the Middle East after almost a year of fighting between Hamas and Israel in Gaza. Haniyeh, who had overseen his group's negotiators in talks with Israel, played a crucial role in Hamas, balancing the militant wing's desire to take the fight to Israel with calls for to reach a settlement and end the conflict. He enjoys close relations with the axis of resistance supported by Iran, and his appointment in the midst of war is a strong message of defiance to Israel. Many Arab and some Western officials had urged Hamas against having Sinwar as a leader because of his connection to the October 7 attacks. Sinwar, the most extremist figure in Hamas, is set to lead the group for the next 5 years. The group's previous political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, had been killed in a blast in Tehran, allegedly by Israel. Let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecasts. Before we end the news tonight, a recap of our major stories. President Bola Tinubu has appointed governing councils for 9 federal tertiary institutions and polytechnics. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, has charged officers of the Nigerian Navy to redouble their efforts in tackling security threats in the Niger Delta region. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has reiterated his commitments to wealth creation and sustainability for marginalized communities in Lagos State. On the foreign scene, we told you that an 84-year-old Lorette Mohammed Yunus has been sworn in as the interim leader of Bangladesh. For more news, please connect with Lagos Television on these social media platforms. Develop success from failures, because discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. Please remember to call Lagos toll-free lines 767 or 112 in case of emergencies. Thank you for watching the news at 8 on Lagos Television. On behalf of the entire crew, we wish you a wonderful night.